Maricruz is from a city called Ébano, San Luis Potosí, Mexico. She emigrated to the United States at the age of 17 in July of 1990. She completed ninth grade in her home country, and the last event she recalls in Mexico before migrating is the annual Carnival Festival, where she grew up in a city called San Juan de los Cerritos, mostly known as Cerritos. Her father and two older brothers, Germán and Kikín, were in the United States since 1972, before Maricruz was born. Over time, her father and two older brothers were legally in the United States because of the 1986 amnesty. Maricruz would only see her father when he would go to Mexico for vacations after working in the United States. Her brothers last went to Mexico when she was 15 years old. Then she would not see either of them for the next 3 years. She lived with her mother and brother Gregorio in Mexico. Eventually, her father would take Gregorio to the United States. Gregorio came back to Mexico, and Gregorio helped the woman make the journey. Her mother, her older brother, her sister-in-law, cousin, and herself traveled with approximately 7 people she did not recognize, and they all traveled together during the journey. They decided to embark on the long journey for the entire family to be together in the United States. Porque aquí tengo todos mis tíos y tías de parte de las dos familias, Maricruz said. Because here in the US, I have all my uncles and aunts from both sides of the family. They all traveled by bus from San Luis Potosí, Mexico to terrain near Tijuana, Mexico. They traveled at a hotel until dusk and then crossed the terrain near San Isidro. Maricruz remembers a lot of walking during the night. All night, they hid in a car too with everyone to make sure they were not spotted. They arrived at a one-room apartment where her father and brothers lived in Westminster, California. The family was happy to be together again, and the family's goal was to find a bigger place, a house to accommodate everyone, and Maricruz did not attend high school because in September she was to be 18. In 2 to 3 months, Maricruz began working in strawberry fields because her brother worked there. The reason she worked in the fields is because of her father and until she knew the city better. The manager of the field was the neighbor of her aunt, and she worked there only during the strawberry season and held other jobs like selling popsicles and working in a factory. Over the years, she had also worked at a Pizza Hut, another factory with her brother, and an agency by organizing cardboard boxes. While she was working at a mattress factory, she studied English in the afternoon. She was eventually laid off because she was not legal and had no papers. She then dedicated her time towards babysitting and housekeeping. She would be a housekeeper for Americans and a Vietnamese man who had cancer. During her housekeeping jobs, she was being exposed to English, and that is how she practiced the language. In the United States, Maricruz mentioned, "Me gradué del high school." She also got married and had her first child, Alexa. She did not work for several years and dedicated to babysitting. She had 2 more children, a boy and a girl. She was still not a legal citizen, and her father helped her with the application process in 1992. It took 19 years, and in 2011, Maricruz became a permanent resident of the United States. For 27 years, she had never returned to Mexico, and in December 2015, her husband and 3 children embarked on a road trip to her home country, and it began in Zacatecas, her husband's home state in Mexico, and then to San Luis Potosí, her home state. Her family drove in a van from the US to Mexico and made stops at hotels for the night. She applied for a position at the school district in the city she resides, Hawaiian Gardens, in September. Now she works as a noon supervisor in the elementary school her two younger children attend. And connections to articles and books from the class is Harvest of the Empire by Juan Gonzalez, The Language Barrier and the Debate of Speaking English in the United States. Another is When I Was Puerto Rican, a memoir by Esmeralda Santiago. A connection is her father who is coming and going and rarely seeing him. Family moving from one city to the next to accommodate the family size and siblings being all together. And Odyssey to the North by Mario Bencastro. Connection is the similar to Calixto's story about walking through the desert during the journey and also holding multiple jobs in the U.S. Another connection is We Came All This Way from Cuba So You Could Dress Like This by Achy Oveja. Maricruz was a teenager and a child dependent on her parents because she moved with and for her family. She was going to be with the family regardless of their location, similar to the daughter's perspective because of her family bringing her to the United States from Cuba when she was 10 years old. And The Distance Between Us, a memoir by Reyna Grande. The connection is Reyna Grande's family being apart and in different countries, siblings being separated, some being citizens, and other siblings being undocumented. Maricruz also mentioned being mojada, in other words, a person without papers